Hey everyone, Christian here, and I am here at Premier Growers out in St. James City, and I have a palm here that you do not see very often, and if you notice, it looks quite a bit like a royal, and it is in the royal genus. However, it is not your typical Florida royal. You can see this purplish coloring down at the bottom, and this is actually Roystonea violacea. It doesn't have a common name, and the reason it's called violacea is not actually because the base of the palm is a purplish violet. It's actually because the inflorescence is a violet color. So this palm is native to an area in Cuba in the Guantanamo, right outside of Guantanamo Bay, but not within the boundaries of Guantanamo Bay as far as I know. It is a tropical rainforest area, and this palm does not get nearly as big or as fat as its cousin, the typical Cuban or Florida royal, but it does get a lot more colorful. It's also quite hard to come by in that area because it is kind of a rugged rainforest area that is far away from Havana, and it's quite a trip for anyone from not from Cuba to go and collect. So there are some of these in the United States. They've been around for a while. One is in my mother's old backyard, and from 15 years ago, and I would love to go back and get it because it was a present from my mentor, and I didn't have the ability to dig it up at the time when she sold the house. So here is basically the typical characteristics of violacea are going to be a smaller crown shaft and trunk than Roystonea regia. The pinnae are going to be not as wide, and they're not going to be nearly as plumose. However, they are plumose in that they do put leaflets out in multiple directions. This one was in a very shady area, and it was kind of getting blown around, so it was just brought outside in a more protected area to get less blown around than, say, in the greenhouse, where there was actually a lot of wind coming in right through this pathway here. So normally you would put something in the greenhouse to protect it from the wind, but in this case there's actually more wind blowing through there. So you can see that for a 7-ish gallon pot, the base is not nearly as big, but it does have, you can notice it does have a much darker crown to it than most typical royals that you would see. So not quite as structural, as as big, as not going to be as tall. It might get nearly as tall as a regular royal, but it's not going to show as much of a presence. But it's really the color that this palm makes it so special, and it has more of a dainty appearance that I personally like. When a palm can show more color, I always think that's great. I love regular Florida and Cuban royals, but to me this one is special because it was the first palm that I really wanted, and that my mentor actually gave to me as a present. So I know it still lives, but it's just not on my property. So so yeah, this there are a number of royal species that are not really discussed much in amongst collectors. Well, amongst collectors, yes, but they're just lesser known. There's Roystonea maziana, there's Roystonea lenis, and there's Roystonea altissima, also a great royal. And all of these are going to be, in general, daintier palms than Roystonea regia, Roystonea oleracea, and Roystonea borinqaena, the three probably most common species of royal. Those are all much thicker and have much more of a presence. So you kind of have these dichotomy of daintier royals and the bulkier, beefier royals. So the violacea definitely falls within the daintier complex there. So as far as I know, this royal is not any less cold hardy than a regular royal, but I don't think anyone's really tried it. It could possibly be less cold hardy than a regia, just because of where it comes from. It does come from a tropical rainforest area in southeastern Cuba versus the native habitat of the rest of the other royals. Roystonea regia being mostly like a savanna type, where it does get a little bit frosty, especially here in Florida. So this could be more of like a 9B, 10A palm. When I said it might not be less cold hardy, I actually believe it is a little bit less cold hardy now that I think about it. That's just extrapolating the data from the fact that where it comes from in habitat. So this is one of the few areas in Cuba that is actually a tropical rainforest climate. You'd think all of Cuba is tropical rainforest, but it's not. It's actually, most of it's tropical savanna or monsoon. So just a few little areas in the provinces on the eastern side have that rainforest climate there. So anyway, it's going to have the cultivation requirements essentially of a regular royal or a normal royal Roystonea regia. Probably a little bit less cold hardy, and going to be a little bit darker in color, a little bit smaller. Kind of the overview of what I was kind of discussing here. So hope you guys enjoyed the vlog. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and hitting that bell notification. I do go live quite a bit. If you have any questions about some of the more obscure or daintier royals that are out there, leave a comment down below, and I'll get back to you guys as soon as I can. And thanks for watching.